So, I'm here to talk about X-Men 97 Season 2, which I am really excited to talk about. My backstory with the X-Men as a whole is I grew up with the original Fox X-Men movies. X-Men, X2, X-Men Last Stand, X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, X-Men First Class, X-Men Apocalypse, X-Men Days of Future Past. I didn't grow up with Logan, obviously, and I didn't grow up with Dark Phoenix, even though I did watch that later, but basically all the other X-Men movies I grew up with at a point, and I always loved the X-Men. Like, some of them aren't my favorites, but, like, I thought the X-Men were really cool. Obviously, Wolverine is just amazing, and Hugh Jackman, and Cyclops, even though he's a bit wasted in those movies. I always loved James Marsden Cyclops, and then, I don't remember the actor's name, but the one in X-Men Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, I thought he was great. And then X-Men 97 released... When was the first season? 2024 or 2023, 2024. And I've heard like nothing but positive stuff about it. I just didn't watch it at the time. And then when X-Men Season 2 started, it was the first week going into the second. So I think around the week of episode 4 of the season releasing, I caught up on the original 5 seasons of the X-Men, like, original series from the 90s, and then X-Men 97 season 1, and then like the 3 or 4 episodes at the time of season 2. And then I watched it throughout. And the original series, like, I thought was good. It was, like, really fun watching. You can tell it's a little bit dated and everything, and, like, it's not, like, my favorite animated show, but it was good. And then X-Men 97 Season 1, even though it's not perfect, I thought was great. And besides 2 episodes, like, I thought each episode was just phenomenal, except for episode 4 and episode 6. And then coming into this one, I just wanted a good season. So what I want to do is kind of give my thoughts on each episode and then my overall thoughts on the season. So let's just get into it. Season 2, Episode 1, Days of Past Future. I thought that this episode was a really good starting point, and it's probably one of my favorite episodes of the season, mostly because this one focuses a little bit more on Cyclops and, like, Jean Grey, but mostly Cyclops. And this episode is basically their episode of being in the future and kind of dealing with Kid Nathan, or Kid Cable, their son. And I really liked that. You get Wolverine in here, and he's really cool. And you get, like, Storm, who I'm not a big fan of in the show. You get Morph, who I really don't like at all. Mother Iskani, who you didn't really get much of anything with. I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be Scott and Jean's daughter, and that's, like, a comic thing. Could that be something that they bring back in the future of this show? Maybe. I mean, they're already finished with Season 3, and they're working on Season 4, and Brad Winderbaum wants to keep continuing, which I would like, because the X-Men are really cool, and I like this show, but they didn't do really anything with Mother Iskani in this season. But Episode 1 is one of my favorites of the season, probably, just because, like, I really like Cyclops, and this one focuses a bit more on him, which, when you get later into the season, he's not focused on as much, but I thought it was a really strong start. And then you get Episode 2, A Force to be Reckoned With, which I think is one of my least favorite episodes of the season, but that being said, it's still a great episode, and it's like, I think one thing about this season, I do think Season 1 probably is better, but I think each episode of the season is, like, around the same quality. Like, I think that they're all, like, within that 4.5 star range, whereas Season 1, basically all of them are in the same, like, 4.5, but they've got, like, Episode 4, which I hate, and then you've got Episode 6, which isn't very good either. Well, it's not bad, but, like, Episode 6 of Season 1 is the one with Storm and Professor X as the main characters. The Storm side of it isn't good at all to me. And then you've got the Professor X stuff, which I thought was really good. And then Episode 4, obviously, I think that's the one that most people agree is, like, the worst episode of the show. or like X-Men 97 show, because I guess the 5 previous seasons kind of whatever. Episode 4 is the one that focuses mostly on Jubilee, and then you get some Storm stuff in the back, and I just don't really care for that episode. But like this season, like there's ones that I like a bit more, but I think that most of them are in the same like range. And this one I thought was really cool, where you don't really get any X-Men in it besides like a little bit at the end. But this episode you get X-Force with Cable and Jubilee's in there, Sunspot, Psylocke, I think her name is, Angel, like, you get X-Force, and, I thought it was a really cool episode. They changed the, like, opening thing to, like, have the X-Force instead of X-Men and stuff, which I thought was cool. And it's a really fun episode where Jubilee, like, in the first season, like, all throughout the original show I didn't like, in the first season I didn't like, she was kind of annoying. But in this episode, like, I wouldn't say she's one of my favorite characters, but I actually liked her, and I was like, okay, that's not as bad as I thought it would be, which I was happy to say. And I just thought it was a really fun episode, where it's not like one of my favorites of the season, but it's a really good one. And then episodes 3 and 4, which are kind of like the same episode, Rise of Apocalypse, episodes 1 and 2, part 1 and 2, episodes 3 and 4 of the season, I thought were pretty good. The Apocalypse stuff is great. Like, I like seeing Apocalypse's origin and kind of how the X-Men, while trying to, because they know who he's going to become, by trying to stop him from becoming Apocalypse, they kind of seal the fate of him becoming Apocalypse. And you get Kang kind of, like, cameoing in it, and I thought he was kind of cool. You get some, like, Celestials and, like, some, like, visions and everything. I think Nightcrawler is really good. Rogue, I like some of the moments she has with Apocalypse. Beast isn't my favorite in the show as well, but he's better than Storm. And then you get Charles and Xavier. No, sorry. You get Charles and Magneto. Charles Xavier is his name. Charles and Magneto, and I like their relationship. And then obviously in episode 4, Apocalypse ends up killing Magneto, which when we get later into the series, season, if you've seen it by now, I'm betting you're watching this if you've seen it by now. If not, spoiler for later in the season, Gambit returns. And there's one more death in the season besides Magneto, but I do hope Magneto stays dead, at least for until season 5 or 6, just because I think it would be nice to have, like, some time, whereas, like, Gambit came back, and I'll give my thoughts on that when, like, episode 8 rolls around. But I would like Magneto's death to kind of, like, stay permanent for a while at least. But, like, episodes 3 and 4 I thought were really good, and I really like the building up of Apocalypse. And then you get episode 5, and then you get a post-credit scene with Wolverine and Captain America and Black Widow, which I thought was a really cool one. Obviously, I just love Wolverine. And then Captain America, like, just having a cameo is really cool. Obviously, he was in season 1. And that's one thing I do like about this show, is that they have cameos in there. Then you get episode 5, which is Weapon X, Lies, and DVDs, where this is a Wolverine / Morph episode, where those are the leads. And this episode is held back a bit because Morph is given a little bit more of front and center. And I don't really like him. Like, I just don't like his character or anything. Like, the only thing he really works for is, like, he's able to have cameos. Like, because of his powers, he's able to transform into, like, Cyclops in this episode, Spider-Man, The Thing, Mr. Fantastic. Like, he's able to be a cameo machine. And that's basically all I like him for. His relationship with Wolverine, I don't like at all. Like, I just don't like that, and I'm kind of happy they put an end to it in this episode. But I thought that kind of like bringing back some of the stuff that happened in the original show with, like, him and Sabretooth having a history, and then Lady Deathstrike and stuff, and kind of bringing them into this to do, like, some stuff on Weapon X and everything, where Wolverine's like, okay, we're going to kill this guy who did this to us, but in actuality, Wolverine is basically just there to get his metal claws back. I thought that was really nice, and then it kind of turns into, like, a horror episode, which I thought was really good and fun. And when they're looking at something, there's a hint at X-23, Laura, who I hope that they do in a season in the future. I heard that season 3 is going to have an episode focused on Wolverine, and I don't know if it's going to like bring in X-23, but if it does, I thought that would be nice because I do like X-23's character and her relationship with Logan. And besides the comics, the only like time I've really seen that adapted is like the Logan movie and then Deadpool Wolverine. So I think it would be cool to have it in like this show at some point. I just would like that. But episode 5 was a really nice one. But it's also where a lot of people started falling out with the show. And then you get episode 6, which is Danger.exe, which is focused on Polaris, Magneto's daughter. She is there's X-Men, X-Force. There's like so many X teams in this. I don't know where it's. I'm trying to figure out like what I should remember it, but sorry, I'm just X Factor. Sorry, but there's like so many names. She comes from X Factor after a mission kind of goes wrong, and she returns to the X-Men, and the Danger Room kind of turns evil because it was talking with Charles Xavier was going like redoing Magneto's death like over and over, and so the Danger Room kind of evolved to try and like help them like have a little defense or like just help them get stronger and everything. And I thought that was kind of cool. And you get some cool new like X Factor. There's so many. You get X-Men, you've got X-Force, which unless I'm mistaking it is Cable's team. You get X Factor, which is either the one that Polaris was on or Charles created in this episode. I'm sorry for not knowing all their names, but I don't know. But so the new X Factor, I think. So it's not the team that Polaris was on. Factor suits that Charles gets the X-Men, I think look really cool. Especially Cyclops's, like with the tiny visor and just like, I think it looks really cool. And he gets a little bit more to do in this, like Cyclops has a little bit more to do in this episode, not a bunch, but it's nice to see him. And I think it's a good episode, which what I can say for this season is I love the episodes as like their own thing. When you put it together as a season, it's probably not the best, and it's a little bit too scattershot, too much filler and everything. But at the same time, I will say that I still overall think the season is great. But there is a funny moment in episode 6 where Danger's coming to Genosha to attack, and Cyclops shoots his beam at her once, and then Jean Grey throws a couple rocks at her. And then they're like, oh, she knows all our moves. What are we supposed to do? It's kind of funny that they do like one thing and they're like, well, time to panic. I thought that was kind of funny. But you get some cool moments with Xavier and Polaris and everything, and I just thought it was a pretty good episode. But the one thing I would say that, like, this is probably one of the ones, along with the next one, that holds it back a little bit, is that I feel like unless they're going to give the show more episodes a season, they probably shouldn't have done like 3 episodes that focused even like they shouldn't have done like 3 episodes that focused purely on like one character, because you've got, so episode 1 has one group of the X-Men, so you get a good chunk of them. It mostly focuses on Scott and Jean, but if you're going to focus on any X-Men, you focus on Scott and Jean. Then you get episode 2, which is focusing on Cable and his team, which I think that works as well because he's prophesized to like take down Apocalypse, so it's like okay. And then 3 and 4 focuses on this group of the X-Men, which is nice, and Apocalypse. Okay. Episode 5 is Wolverine and Morph. I like it because Wolverine's like my favorite X-Men character, but I can understand why someone might not like that. But even then, if you get 4 episodes focusing on the main story and then the last 4 episodes and then you get 1 in the middle, okay. Then you get episode 6, which focuses on Polaris, and you're like, okay, what are we doing here? And then you get episode 7, Strange Land, Savage Heart, which focuses more so on Nightcrawler and Colossus. Mostly Nightcrawler. But I like the episode, but I think that 3 episodes of the season, of the 9-episode season that's dealing with Apocalypse being like filler in a sense of the word. Like, filler isn't necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, like, in this type of, like, season where it's just 9 episodes, 3 of them like that, when you're dealing with, like, one of the biggest bad guys the X-Men has, is a bit weird. But this one I did like, with the Savage Land coming back. And for what happens at the end of the season with Nightcrawler, I also can kind of just like, okay, I get it. But I thought episode 7 was really fun, where you get Nightcrawler. You get a moment at the beginning where they're playing cards, and it's a pretty fun moment. It's one of the only moments that Cyclops is in the or is that I think the card scene is in this one, but that might be episode 8. But yeah, you get this, and you get Nightcrawler trying to help his brother, Creed, who ends up becoming president by the end of the season. You get Nightcrawler trying to help him and help him understand, and kind of just like sell the mutants on him and be like, yeah, he might hate us, but he, like, his parents are mutants, and kind of like, you can kind of understand it. But then the guy just keeps doing it, and he shoots someone, and Nightcrawler is just like, okay, you're beyond saving. I'm not going to help you anymore. And I thought it was a really nice episode, and with what happens, I understand why they gave Nightcrawler an episode. And then you get episode 8, The Dead Man's Hand, which brings Gambit fully back. You got a little tease of him at the end of 6, and then another one at the end of 7, and then you finally get him back in this episode. And I really like this episode. Gambit is pretty cool. Like, his Apocalypse, like, death suit is really cool with the gray and everything. You get Cyclops and Wolverine in a little bit more. Not a bunch, but you do get them in it more. I really like Cyclops and Jean's relationship with Cable, and I would like to see that play out a little bit more in future seasons. And then the big part of this episode is Rogue and Remy's relationship. And I thought the way they did that was pretty nice. And there's some fun action. The visuals, like, and all the episodes are really good. Like, I think the show looks really good. And it's a really nice, like, setting up the finale episode. Like, I think it's really nice, like, second to last episode. And you get some really good character moments. You get Nightcrawler, like, taking out all the X-Men. And everything. And then you get the finale, Survival of the Fittest, which is probably my favorite episode of the season. I usually just love finales, even if they're not, like, always the best. Finales are usually my favorite, just because it's, like, wrapping everything up. But this is probably my favorite episode of the season, and I thought it was really good. Like, is it a little bit rushed at times? Yes. Is it better than the season 1 finale? I don't know. I want to check my ranking real quick, because I don't want to say yes and then mess it. Yes. It's better than the season 1 finale. Is it better than the way season 1 or overall wrapped up? Probably not, but, like, do I like the episode more than the season 1 finale? Yes, I do. Just because you get a bunch of really fun character moments. Like, each character has a moment to shine. Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean, Cable, Psylocke, Jubilee, Havoc, Apocalypse / Gambit. Gambit has an action scene where he, like, wakes up and just decimates people, and it's really awesome to see. Professor X, Nightcrawler has a moment. Rogue, like, mostly everyone has, like, a moment to shine. And I think that the way they bring the season to a close is, like, pretty good. And then one of the creators or writers or something of the show was asked if Apocalypse truly is gone. And he kind of gave an answer like, you can believe what you want to believe, but Apocalypse is nifty and crafty and, like, can figure stuff out. So he's kind of hinting, like, in a future season they could bring Apocalypse back. And I like that, because it's like, I think that for season 2, like, wrap up Apocalypse, because he was in the original show, you want to wrap him up a little bit so that you can have other seasons without him. I like that. But at the same time, there being a way that he could come back as, like, one of the final bosses and one of the final seasons that you do, I also think is cool, because he seems like one that you would bring, like, be like a big ultimate final battle. So, like, if they're saving him for that, I think that's cool. And I think that's probably what they're going to do. And even if they don't, I guess we'll see. Like, could that bring the season down a little bit? Maybe. I don't know. But like, as of right now, with the possibility of him coming back, and even if he isn't. I think it wraps it up pretty good. I would say I do like season 1 better, but overall, this season is a little bit more consistent, to me. But, like, season 1, I think what I really liked about season 1 is that... Sorry about that little interruption. My dad needed me for a second, but we are back. As I was saying, what I like about season 1 a bit more is that it did focus more on Scott and Jean. And if you're going to focus on any of the X-Men that isn't named Wolverine, Scott and Jean are probably the ones that you should focus on, like, the most. Like, those should be your main characters, and then if you want other ones that have the spotlight once in a while, okay. But, like, because they're the main ones and, like the leaders, I think that they should have a bit of a bigger role. And that's the one thing I like about season 1 that, like, clearly elevates it above this season to me, is that this one had some really good, like, Scott and Jean moments and, like, Wolverine and stuff, but, like, you're focusing on characters that, while good, aren't the worst. And, like, as I said with episode 7, that one gets a pass because of what happens to Nightcrawler in the end of the episode, where he sacrifices himself so that Rogue doesn't have to, so that her and Gambit can live together. And I really like the moment where he dies and he's like, because I have faith in everything. And then you get a post-credit scene with Mystique, like, hinting at her return in season 3. And, all in all, like, it might be a bit of a messier season than season 1. It's not as good, even though, like, I would say that it's still a really solid season. And I also tend to just like stuff a little bit more than some people, where it's like, even if it's messy, like, I don't really look at that and I'm just like, did I have fun with it? Yes. And so, like, are there flaws? Yes. Could it have been better? Like, absolutely. But did I have fun with it? And is that what mattered the most to me? Yes. I thought that you had some really solid characters, and the ones that I liked, even though they didn't get as much spotlight, still had some really good moments. And I'm really excited to watch a season of this every year. And starting next season, I'll probably do a video, like, per episode, and then a big, like, so, like, what I do with Lanterns, what I did with Daredevil Born Again, probably what I'll do with Vision Quest, because superheroes are, like, the big thing I like. So starting next season and stuff, I'll probably do, like, probably little reviews, like, for each episode, and then an overall, like, longer one per season. But that's my review for X-Men 97 season 2. A solid, like, 8.5, 9 out of 10, just like the last season. Where would I put it? As I said, it's a little bit worse than season 1, but season 1 definitely has the lowest of the lows of the series, with episodes 4 and 6. But this one, I would say, is a little bit messier. But, like, in general, like, I think each episode is around the same quality. It's just that when you look at it as a whole season, you recognize the flaws a little bit more, and you're like, yeah, it's a little bit worse than season 1. And I hope that season 3 focuses more on, like, Scott and Jean, and then Wolverine, and like that, like, a little bit more. Mostly Scott, but, like, because Jean's, like, right there, like, Scott and Jean, I feel like, for at least the way I'm looking at it, should probably be the main focus. And then, obviously, as I said, Wolverine is just, I'm a little bit biased, so I want him there too. But, tell me what you thought of the season, what you think of the show so far, what you want in season 3 and what you're looking forward to and everything. And yeah, that is what I have to say about X-Men 97 season 2. And obviously there will be a bunch of videos in between then, but as for X-Men 97, I will see you next year for season 3. So see you in the next one.